was once a man like us. God himself, the Father of us all, dwelt on earth. Brigham Young, he is the Father of our spirits, and was once a man in mortal flesh. Your religion claims that God, the creator of the universe, was once a man. To claim that that is not apostasy in the highest degree, far more than me saying we should extend the principle that, love thy neighbor as thyself, and if gay people want to get married, go let them. You are engaging in far more heretical, apostatic beliefs, or whatever the word is, than I am. Do you agree that the Bible as it was written, you're a Mormon, right? So you have a lot of beliefs that many Catholics would consider heretical, far more so than me advocating for gay marriage. So you agree that the Bible as it was written contains errors, right?
I don't like the phraseology. I don't think that the Bible as it was written contains errors. I believe errors occur over time, usually because man interferes with it.
Right. I agree. And that's why I say the Bible is a series of metaphors. Hence, we have to interpret it through a somewhat relativistic lens. So hold on. I
disagree there.
Well, but let me pose this to you. We'll keep going into it because this is fun. So is it true that in Mormonism, Joseph Smith received divine revelation, correct?
Correct.
You recognize that there's plenty of Catholics, the one that you argued with in the first two debates you had on Cozy TV, who find that is as heretical of a belief as me saying that God sanctions gay marriage. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, to the perspective, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why is your interpretation of the Bible more valid than mine?
Mm-hmm. So this is where it gets down to, and again, this is why I've kind of been saying I don't necessarily agree with that, because it's authority. It's a matter of authority, and the Catholic Church, from what I understand from the last debate, finds it within dogma, and it finds it within original biblical scripture. And the dogma is built off of the original biblical scripture and the church over time. The authority in my church comes from prophets. It comes from the Melchizedek, the Aaronic priesthoods, which are the power of God on earth, and it is vested in one individual. The priesthoods are vested in many individuals, but the role of the prophet is vested only in one individual. Mm-hmm. And that one individual has the authority to revelate for the church. So you and me say, and I think it's very, very, there's a big conflation there, because any Protestant church can say, well, I disagree with what the Catholic Church is doing. And it's like, well, okay, well, hold on what basis? And most of the time it comes down to the Catholic, or it comes down to Protestant sects believing in self-interpretation of the Bible, and then they kind of take away that idea of authority. Both the Catholic Church and the LDS Church, even if there are very large disagreements, have authority within their vested interpretations, or rather, and by the way, I don't even like the term interpretation, because we believe it to be directly revelatory.
Sure, but the Catholics think that that's heretical to the point of worse. So my fundamental
disagree are going to
right. So your claim that we can derive moral truth from the Bible is not enough, because there are infinite interpretations to the Bible, and who's to say that your interpretation is more valid than mine? And just to point out again, because I don't think that people watching this necessarily know, I just did all this. I watched the videos. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the Mormon Church, it says that God, the creator of the universe, was once a mortal man. Mortal flesh and blood. This is the quote from Joseph Smith. God himself was
from the King Follett sermon.
Once we are now. I know, but I want to say it. I want to say it for my audience and your audience. We have imagined. God himself was once as we are now and is an exalted man. I'm going to tell you how God came to God. We've imagined supposing that God was God. I will refute this idea. He was once a man like us. God himself, the Father of us all, dwelt on earth. Brigham Young, he is the Father of our spirits, and was once a man in mortal flesh. Your religion claims that God, the creator of the universe, was once a man. To claim that that is not apostasy in the highest degree, far more than me saying we should extend the principle that, love thy neighbor as thyself, and if gay people want to get married, go let them. You are engaging in far more heretical, apostatic beliefs, or whatever the word is, than I am. And certainly the idea that another prophet other than Jesus can get divine revelation is equally as ridiculous. And I've got all the Bible verses, and I would really love to get into it. But my favorite thing is that, and again, interrupt me if I'm wrong in any of this.
Oh wait, can I interrupt? Okay, then I'll.
Okay, go ahead.
Prophets have existed over time besides Christ, who have directly revelated
after Christ.
before God.
After Christ.
No, well, after Christ is obviously the argument. And the argument of the LDS Church is that prophets exist as they did before Christ.
Which is as ridiculous of an interpretation of the Bible as me saying, well, God sanctions gay marriage. For example, hold on.
And I'll tell you exactly why the difference doesn't really matter, because what you're talking about is a prescription about society, right? So, and by the way, this
no, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, well, hold on. But that's kind of the sake of the argument, right? It's like, well, homosexuality and interpretation of the Bible and whatever. Hold on. My faith believing that as man is, God once was, has absolutely nothing to do with any kind of a political or legislative position whatsoever. And I believe that your attempt to conflate the two, your attempt to conflate the idea of you interpreting marriage to be outside of a man and a woman, and the idea of God being as man once was, is I don't want to say bad faith, because you've been very good through this, but I believe it's totally, I believe it's totally dissonant.
Let me say why it's not.
More of an attempt to dunk on me, and what I
it is in part that.
Just to finish, I would say that you're kind of taking the idea of it being apostasy or heretical from a relative position, because like what I believe is heretical to Catholics and what you believe is heretical to me and Catholics, and you are conflating the idea that they're both heretical with the idea that both of those statements applied to a society are of equal consequence, which I would never argue.
I agree. Yours is more consequential, and the entire
to a society. Hold on, to a society or religiously?
Do you think?
I by the way, I 100% agree with you in the fact that this is of very great consequence. But what you're doing is you are ascribing this towards a policy. So do you believe that my belief, this will be like the question just to see where you sit.
Sure.
Do you believe me saying that as God is, man once was, or as man is, God once was? Do you believe me saying that is, and if the LDS Church was the religion after which all of society was shaped, do you believe that would have a greater or lesser consequence directly than interpreting the Bible to legalize gay marriage? Which do you think is
not directly, but it would have a greater consequence overall? Absolutely.
Then what would the overall consequence be? And on what level would you evaluate it?
Yes, fair enough. Well, first I would say the history of religious conflict, let's say between the Protestants and Catholics, they are more aligned than the Mormons and the Protestants and Catholics, for sure. And to say that, well, America just needs a moral center, it's Christian or whatever. It's like that masks the bigger schism that exists between, your principle and the Catholics, let's say, than the people who want to legalize gay marriage, the Christians that want to legalize gay marriage and whatnot. The claim, sorry, you said, what is the total moral consequence? How can someone say that the Bible is the divine word of God if A, it's errors and Joseph Smith needed to rewrite it, and second, I don't understand at all how you have any shared vision with the Catholics when, again, did Joseph Smith not clearly say that the creeds of other churches, Catholicism included, was it quote unquote an abomination?
I don't know about that quote.
I'll read the quote.
Hold on.
This is important. I want to read it so that I'm not misquoting here.
You just want a dunk moment on a religious debate. That's not what we're having.
Your entire worldview is based on your religious principles. Well, hold on.
I understand.
This is an attempt to dodge.
That's a fair point.
Can I read the quote?
No. Hold on, Brittany. Host moment, please. I understand that this debate is very influenced by religion. What you're doing now is getting into literal scriptural arguments between the position of the Catholic Church and the LDS Church
to highlight the fundamental issue with your argument.
Hold on.
I know.
And trust me.
I thought we were okay with going back and forth.
And trust me, I have
yelling into it.
Okay, you're right.
Things that I'd like to talk about. Like I was ready to launch into. Well, I don't think the Bible argues for inerrancy or whatever. I was totally ready to launch into that, and then I thought back. Wait a minute. This is a debate about the America First ideology. And just to really make it simple, the Catholics, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the LDS Church, and most of the original Protestant sects, which came after Martin Luther, would all think that your claim about homosexual marriage would be completely completely ridiculous. So even as far, hold on, even as far as you would say that, and by the way, I agree, there are significant differences between my position and the LDS position and the position of Catholics. The way that we would shape our society legally based off the moral framework of our faith would be different than what you are saying, which is why I don't like you conflating those two things just because they're both apostasy or heretical.
Okay, fair enough. I said when I set this debate up, and I know you didn't respond on Discord, I said I want to go into the religious.
You messaged me on Discord.
I know you added me. I know, that's fair.
I feel bad. My bad.
I know. Maybe I'm dunking on you in revenge or whatever. I specifically said that I wanted to go into the religious underpinnings of the America First ideology. Correct me if I'm wrong. The entire moral claim that your movement has on gay marriage in particular, this debate wasn't specifically about gay marriage, that was just something that happened to come up, is based on your interpretation of the Bible. And so us discussing how different interpretations of the Bible relate to one another and how they're opposed to one another is essential in understanding where, for example, what my fundamental disagreements are. And so again, and I'm going to read the quote because I think it's important for people to hear this. My audience certainly doesn't know, and I didn't know this either, but Joseph Smith, who is received divine revelation in the Church of the Latter-day Saints, said that when he was approached by the angels, I was answered that I must join none of them, for they were all wrong. And the personage who addressed me said that all their creeds were an abomination in his sight, that those professors were all corrupt, i.e. the Catholic faith or the Catholic Church, the priesthood is illegitimate, it's an abomination. And my point is that right there is an example of how you cannot cite the Bible as this obvious biblical text, because for you to say, Paul, me saying that I'm trying to extend monogamy and the legal secular sanctioning of gay marriage to gay people, well, that goes against our biblical interpretation. It's like you are in the least position of anyone to be able to make that claim. And until you can explain to me how you reconcile these, and I've got the Bible verses, and we obviously won't go into it perhaps today, perhaps this is another discussion for another time, but until you can rectify that, you have absolutely no moral claim to start saying, well, gay marriage is wrong because there's a biblical propensity for it in the Bible and this and that. It's like, well, I reject your interpretation as much as you reject mine, and I don't hear any reason to assume why one interpretation is more valid than the other.
Well, I think that first, of course, I already made the case about of authority and how the different churches define theirs, and I believe the authority of the priesthood. And by the way, the other argument to make religiously would be that the fruits of the faith and the fruits of the positions of the church and of the Bible and of the Book of Mormon and whatnot are good fruits when untampered with and when not relative. But I think that's wholly irrelevant to this discussion because despite all of the differences that you have cited and the ones that I've agreed to, the position of changing the institution of marriage religiously would still put you out to be the more obtuse. So you can point to whatever differences and whatever great, ideas of heresy and apostasy exist, and yet the LDS perspective on marriage is still closer to the original biblical position. And if we
that's
can make
a complete
this
lie. That's a lie. That's a joke and a lie.
If we can make this as simple as possible, we could even have a debate about biblical verses about homosexuality, which many people try to do. Many people try to say Leviticus 18:22 is translated incorrectly, and when you look at it, that's not the case. So if we were to dive into the Bible itself, then we could say that. And just by the way, to ease my mind, I want to clear one thing up with the chat. Just because the LDS position is that the Bible is not inerrant, which I also don't believe that the Bible argues for. The Bible does not claim to be inerrant. It claims to be inspired. And that's the very word that it uses. Yeah. We also believe that the parts in the Bible and the moral claims that it make are not relative and up to interpretation, which is why the moral claims that are made by the LDS Church are fundamentally similar, if not the same, to the moral claims of the Roman Catholic Church, the Bible itself as well.
Except the Catholic Church is an abomination according to your main figure.
Well, if you were to ask Joseph Smith what he thought of the Roman Catholic Church's stance on gay marriage, he would probably say, "I completely agree."
Okay.
So
again,
point there
the gay marriage conversation was one to get into this conversation. It's about the America First ideology, and my fundamental point is that
but you just mentioned the America First ideology for probably the first time in 30 minutes.
Right, because I know we got stuck in the gay marriage thing
No, we
whatever.
got stuck on the religious debate, which was you attempting to dunk on the LDS
How
Church.
is the examining the moral foundations of your ideology stuck on a debate? That's exactly what this conversation was about. I don't want to have a weird meta conversation.
I'll tell you again.
Hold on. Don't interrupt me. I don't want to have a meta conversation. Okay. Again.
I think we're too late.
Well, I think we are now. The point is, and look, like I said, I wanted to establish common ground up front because you have information that you possess that I could use to go out and say, all right, well, actually, here are more reasons why all the fucking cutting off the breasts of 13-year-olds is bad. But my point, the single biggest thing that would prevent someone like me, which obviously I'm guessing you guys don't want me anymore, but from saying like I'm an America First Paleoconservative is because I cannot get around the problem that the entire framework of your entire philosophy has built-in arbitrariness that if I compare your version of Christianity to the Catholic Church, they are explicitly at odds with each other, and that will cause inevitably as much tribal dissent as it has historically, i.e. with the Protestants and Catholics murdering each other for 500 years. That's the fundamental problem. And forgive me, I'm sorry. I was not sorry, and I know I was interrupting a lot. I was hoping we could go back and forth. I wasn't trying to cut him off.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah. Like a lot.
So apologies
the
if
interruptions
that was the case.
from like for the majority were good natured. I don't think you're out of bounds in doing that. I'm not totally opposed to interrupting either. You saw I did it a few times when I thought it was important.
You just have a much louder mic.
I know. Again, sorry.
I think it's interesting that what you take away is that the LDS perspective, the EO perspective, and the Catholic perspective are different. And because of that, I'm going to stray as far as I can from what they believe. And that to me is just weird. It's like, well, okay, but if there's not one consensus about the Bible, I guess I'll just believe that, homosexual marriage is okay. And all of the faiths are saying, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's not true. There's plenty of churches who sanction gay marriage. But okay, maybe there's plenty of churches that sanction gay marriage. And my point was, my interpretation of the Bible, for example, incorporates like evolution and psychology and like evolutionary psychology. And so I think those things are necessary too, which is in part why I was making that biological argument.
You also believe the Bible to be a series of metaphors, which I would say most Christians don't agree with.
So
well, again, going back to what most Christians disagree with.
Go into the Q&A, you guys, which I'm also going to put the chat overlay up now so that we have that.